Okay, so we're on to our guided section, although I've just noticed the guided icon is missing from the screen, but never mind, it's definitely the guided bit. So we've got a bit of information at the top here. We are going to be converting fractions into decimals. So it says sometimes it is easiest to find an equivalent fraction where the denominator is 10, 100, or 1,000. This makes it easier to convert from a fraction to a decimal. So we're going to look at this method today. So first question here, what is this fraction as a decimal? So we're going to convert this 3/20 into an equivalent fraction. So I'll put my fraction line there. So supporting hands if you need it, it says you could convert to a fraction out of 100. So I'm going to take my own hint and write 100 here. Now, as always, I would like you to pause the video, please. I'd like you to have a go at doing this yourself, then come back and watch me going through it, okay? So make sure you've had a go, pause the video, and then come back to it. So we are thinking about, well, what do I times 20 by to make 100? If you need to, connective thinking, 2 times by 5 is 10. 20 times by 5 is 100. So we're timesing by 5. Now, if I've times the denominator by 5, I've got to times the numerator by 5. So we end up with 3 times 5 is 15. Sorry, I should have written that there. Apologies. 3 times 5 is 15. That gives me 15 hundredths. Now, it's going to be all right to write that out. 15 hundredths. So I've got 0.15. That is 15 hundredths. Okay? 15 hundredths, 0.15. So 3/20 as a decimal is 0.15. I'll just show you that on the next screen, just laid out beautifully neatly. So 3/20, we times it by 5, 15 hundredths. Now, a little note, and you're going to need this for Monday's lesson as well. This is a division line. So we can also read this as 15 divided by 100. Now, it also says 15 hundredths, so remember. So 15 divided by 100, thinking about your line method from the other lesson, we've got 15 divided by 100, 2 lines, 2 jumps, and we end up with 0.15. So 15 hundredths, 0.15. 15 divided by 100 is 0.15. This says 15 hundredths. Okay? Right, next one, same thing. Can you change 8/20 from being a fraction into a decimal? Fractions and decimals, remember, are both just parts of a whole number. Okay? And little hint down here. So we've said 10, 100, or 1,000 is the easiest way to do it. Little hint for this one. Why don't you make it out of 10? I'm just going to nip back to the last one. We had 20 at the bottom here as well, but I couldn't have simplified that to a fraction out of 10 because that would be dividing by 2, but I can't divide 3 by 2 and get me a whole number. Okay, it would be a decimal number, and that just doesn't work. It has to be a whole number. So I couldn't have done that one on the previous question. But on this one, I've got 2 even numbers here. So I can divide them by something to end up with 10. And that will make my life a bit easier. So, as before, please pause the video. Please have a go at converting 8/20 into a equivalent fraction. And then, once you've done that, can you make it into a decimal number? Pause the video, have a go, and I will now go through it. So, from 20 to get to 10, I've had to divide by 2. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So I'm going to do 8 divided by 2, and that will get me to 4. Now I could simplify that fraction any sorry, I could simplify that fraction further, but for what I'm wanting to do for making the decimal, actually this is the best thing to work with. So I've now got 4/10. Well, I know what 4/10 looks like as a decimal. It's going to have 0 ones, and there's going to be a 4 in the tenths column, and that's it. So 8/20 as a decimal is 0.4. This was an equivalent fraction, so this is our decimal number. 8/20 is the same as 0.4. Okay, and that is that there. So we divided by 2, 0.4, just for you to see it clearly there. Okay, all right, another one. So it says, what is this fraction as a decimal again? And again, we're thinking about changing the denominator to make an equivalent fraction. So a fraction that is exactly the same amount. And your supporting hands, you could convert to a fraction out of 10 again. So pause the video, see if you can work out 27/30 an equivalent fraction. And then once you've done that, see if you can work out the decimal amount. Okay, I'm going to go through it now, so make sure you've had a go. So from 30 to get to 10, I am dividing, not doing takeaway, people, we're dividing. I'm dividing by 3. If I've divided the denominator by 3, I need to divide the numerator by 3. So 27 divided by 3 is 9. So 27/30 is equivalent to 9/10. And again, I'm trying to make this into a decimal. 9/10 is 0 ones and a 9 in the tenths column. That's it. 27/30 is the same as 0.9 as a decimal. Okay, just show you that on the screen properly. There we go. Divided by 3, 9/10 is the same as 0.9. Okay, have a little look at these ones then. See what you think you might be able to do. We are thinking about converting them. So they are equivalent fractions with either 10 or 100 or even 1,000 as the denominator. Okay? Pause the video, have a go, jot it down, however you need to do it. You could even send a photo of that to your teacher if you wanted. I'm about to go through it, so please make sure you pause the video and had a go. So for 5/20, I'm just looking at what I might be able to do. Now, I can see straight away, although I can make the 20 into having 10 as a denominator, that would be divided by 2. If I divide 5 by 2, I've got a decimal number, and a fraction is already a part of a number. You can't have a decimal as your numerator, okay? So I'm going to instead go to 100. I'm not going to go to 1,000 because that's going to be harder work for me. Now, on one of the previous questions, we had 20 going up to 100, and it was timesing by 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 20 times 5 is 100. Okay, so I'm going to times the top by 5. 5 times 5, 25. So I've got 25 hundredths. Okay, now as a decimal, that is 0.25. Now that is one of our famous fractions, which means this is also equivalent to a quarter. I know that 0.25 is the same as a quarter. If you divide 5 by 5, you get 1, and you divide 20 by 5, you get 4. So 5/20 as a decimal is 0.25. It's 25 hundredths, it's 1/4. So we've got 3 things going on there in the end. Okay, on this next one, we've got 8/25. I'm thinking straight away, I'm going to go straight up to 100. Okay, so same as the last one. Now, these are facts that you need to be remembering now, year 6. So 25 times by 4 is 100. Okay, 25 times by 2 is 50. Then if we double that again, so we've ended up timesing it by 4, 50 times 2 is 100. So 25 times 4 is 100. 8 times 4 is 32. So if I write that out, I've got 0.32. So 32 hundredths is 3 tenths and 2 hundredths. Okay, hopefully you've understood that from the last few lessons. Now, if we have a look at this one, can't really make that into 100 by multiplying. So I'm going to go down to 10. So I'm going to make it into an equivalent fraction. Sorry, I should have put equal signs on all of these. I apologize. With 10 as the denominator. So from 40 to 10, I am dividing by 4. 40 divided by 4 is 10, which means I need to divide our numerator, the 12, by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3, which reads as 3 tenths. So again, we've got a nice simple job there. 3 tenths, 0.3. So to answer the question, fraction into decimal, 12/40 is 0.3. Right, I'm pretty sure it's guided practice next. I will just check. Sorry, guided practice, intelligent practice it is. So I'm going to stop this video and start you another one for intelligent practice.